what we continue to see is the very serious nature of juvenile crime in this state and across this country. And at a time where you have these horrible crimes being committed by people so young, we have a juvenile justice system that is at a breaking point. This segment is brought to you in partnership with our friends over at Future 42. Turn your frustration into action at future42.org. So just as this is happening, the Department of Children, Youth, and Families sends out, the director of the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, Ross Hunter, he sends out this letter to a lot of people, but involved parties, and basically says we can't book into juvenile detention facilities anymore. We can't do it. They're at capacity, they're over capacity, and it's creating all these issues in our juvenile detention facilities. The letter is very short, so I'm just going to read it to you in full. Effective July 5th, 2024, DCYF is suspending the intake of youth and young adults into juvenile rehabilitation facilities. This decision is necessary due to a spike in population at Green Hill School, leading to a deteriorating and dangerous situation as staff struggle to manage 240 youth and young people on campus. The duration of this suspension is indeterminate. During this suspension, any existing contract provisions related to the acceptance of new intakes will be placed on hold. Other agreement provisions, blah, 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 blah. We'll do formal notifications and further details next week. We appreciate you understanding, blah. So it gives virtually no information, just says at our 2 juvenile detention facilities, there are only 2 in the state, that we are not going to be accepting, as of July 5th, any new intake. So that's scary. Obviously, there are some questions about, okay, what happens? Because obviously you have juvenile offenders committing crimes. They're going to face sentencing. And then what happens to them? Are you just going to let them out? Like, what are you going to do? So here's from the Seattle Times, a little more information on this. Youth sentenced to juvenile rehabilitation will remain in county facilities instead of being transferred to Echo Glen or Green Hill. So Echo Glen is like in the Snoqualmie area and Green Hill is down in Centralia. The suspensions do not include a plan to release this suspension doesn't include a plan to release anyone incarcerated at Echo Glen or Green Hill. At least there's that they're not saying, hey, they got no rooms, we're just going to release them. So for now, that's not included in this. The department said Green Hill has filled up faster than expected, citing an increase in young people being sentenced and for longer periods. This is insane to me. Let me read that sentence again. The department said Green Hill has filled up faster than expected, citing an increase in young people being sentenced and for longer periods. You know another way to say that? An increase in juvenile crime. It's not just that they're being sentenced to longer periods of incarceration or rehabilitation. It's because more young people are committing crimes so serious that they have to go to Echo Glen or Green Hill and be held there for a longer period of time. And also remember what the issue is here, because they said at Green Hill, the average stay is 272 days compared with 189 at Echo Glen, and that they're way over capacity, right? Remember, under the Inslee administration, the individuals who can be, I call it incarcerated still, although it's like they call it a school. It's still a juvie center, although we all know that there have been issues there, which I'll get to momentarily. Now it's up to the age of 25. There's no reason that offenders up to the age of 25 should be in a juvenile detention facility. And that's part of the problem here. You should be there until you're 18 years old. I said on the show, I think the proposal I gave was, okay, if their sentence is going to conclude before their 21st birthday, let them serve the entirety of that sentence at Green Hill or Echo Glen. But if their sentence is going to go beyond their 21st birthday, then at their 18th birthday, they should be moved into a prison setting and facility. That's what I've said. I think that makes a lot of sense. But apparently we've got to treat 25-year-old murderers like they're kids still and keep them at a school. That makes no sense. So this is going on. But here's the thing. Who does this surprise? Should this be a surprise to anyone? Absolutely not. Should this be a surprise to DCYF? Absolutely not. Why? Because we have known for years, really, that there were deteriorating conditions when it came to a safety perspective at both Echo Glen and Green Hill. At Echo Glen, numerous stories about violent escapes of juvenile offenders, some of them murderers. That happens not infrequently. And then at Echo Glen, what were we all talking about at the end of last year? We were talking about a report from the King 5 investigators that Centralia Police, we just pulled some of this back up. Centralia Police, remember, they sent a letter to Governor Jay Inslee begging Jay Inslee and Attorney General Bob Ferguson to investigate what was happening at Green Hill School in Chehalis. Sorry, not Centralia. Chehalis. Begged them in this long letter, detailed all the issues that were happening, detailed, in some instances, staff at Green Hill School who are participating and helping facilitate illegal activity. They begged the governor and the Attorney General, Bob Ferguson, for help. Do you remember what Jay Inslee said? Jay Inslee sent a letter back and basically said, things are fine. Don't worry about it. We have it taken care of. We've received your letter, but no big deal. Said the governor's office is declining to refer this matter to the Attorney General's office for further investigation. We thank you for your care and concern for the young people being served at Green Hill School. Governor Inslee gave him a big middle finger. When they were raising serious concerns, you remember what else the state did? The state, Governor Jay Inslee, forced police to investigate. They were trying to investigate crimes at Green Hill that they had ample evidence of. They forced them to get a search warrant to search a state-run juvenile detention facility for evidence of criminal activity. Insane. And I mentioned the King 5 investigators story. They talked to Inslee about this again. It was the end of last year. And again, Inslee just completely dismissed the very real concerns about the state of our juvenile detention facilities.
They felt like they were brushed off.
Well, I can assure you that we have made improvements there, in part because some of these concerns have been raised.
That is not the case. Nothing has been corrected, and which is incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, so you have Inslee. No, all good, all good. Attorney General's office doesn't need to look into it. We have made changes. And then you've got the police chief being like, that's not true. Nothing has been done. And so now you fast forward, 6 months, and DCYF says things are so bad, we can't even take any new juvenile offenders. This is a pattern in the state of Washington where you have a crisis that gets so bad and so bad and so bad and so bad, then it's at a critical point where you can't ignore it, you can't deny it, you can't hide it anymore. And then it's too far gone to be fixed. Look, I mean, you can apply that to any of the crises that we have, the crime crisis, the homelessness crisis, the drug crisis, et cetera. And everywhere in there, in every one of those crises, there's a Governor Jay Inslee standing there saying it's not a problem. Denying the problem, blaming something else, like the homeless crisis, he blames housing, wants $4 billion to fix it. So here you have just months ago, the governor saying, no big deal. Attorney General Bob Ferguson does not need to investigate this. And now here we are, the middle of the summer during a juvenile crime crisis with DCYF saying, we will not accept any more bookings of juvenile offenders. Ladies and gentlemen, the state of Washington. Absolutely insane. Not only insane, but dangerous. And I think back again to the 13-year-old girl whose life was taken while she was at the mall with her friends. And I think forward to what's going to happen to the 16-year-old who took her life. And maybe we get to a place where it's so bad that they say, we're not going to try him as an adult. We're just going to give him a slap on the wrist and set him on his way because we really don't have a place to put him. I know that sounds crazy, but given everything that's happened with our juvenile justice system, I do not think that's out of the realm of possibility. That segment was brought to you in partnership with our friends over at Future 42. Turn your frustration into action at future42.org.